Hello everyone. Today we are going to look at some of the well-known and also more sneaky techniques that companies use to track your activity online. Your data is very valuable, and collecting user data has become a major focus of businesses over the past couple of decades. They not only collect data directly by encouraging you to sign up for an account, but use various tactics to track your movements across the web, collecting information about your searches, shopping preferences, and lifestyle choices, and more. A major issue with this practice is that many companies are not upfront about this data collection and tracking. They are also often not upfront about how your data is used, how it is stored, how long they keep it for, or who they share it with, or sell it to for that matter. The fact that your personal information can be collected, bought, and sold all without your knowledge is a little mind-boggling, but also completely legal. This data collection may be glossed over as being just to improve your user experience, or buried somewhere in their privacy policy in complicated legalese, or simply not mentioned at all. Occasionally, legislation forces companies and websites to be more upfront about data collection and tracking, such as legislation forcing websites to disclose cookies. But for the most part, this practice of tracking users and collecting data is largely unregulated or supervised, except perhaps in the European Union, where stricter privacy regulations are in place. You may be wondering, what exactly is the point? What do these companies care what you do on the internet or about collecting your data? The answer is, of course, money. By personalizing your experience and showing you targeted advertisements for things that you are interested in, you are more likely to engage with their website and products. Targeted advertising brings in more advertising revenue, which is the primary source of income for most free websites, apps, and services. However, there is a fine line between personalization and targeted advertising and deliberate manipulation. The more that companies know about you, the better that they can predict your behavior and encourage you to do what they want, which is to stay on their website or app, keep scrolling, spend more money, click on ads, or even make decisions that are not necessarily in your best interest. This manipulation becomes even more complex with the use of tools such as artificial intelligence. There have been many criticisms of this deliberate surveillance and manipulation. For example, in the article Autonomy and the Social Dilemma of Online Manipulative Behavior, the author notes that persuasive online technologies have blurred the lines and morphed into technologies that covertly and gradually manipulate people into attaining a goal that is predetermined by the algorithm and disregards the decision-making rights of the individual. I'll add the link to that article in the video description. It's a really interesting read. This idea was perhaps exemplified by the Cambridge Analytica scandal that unfolded back in 2018, when it was revealed that the user data of up to 87 million Facebook users had been collected and used without their consent during the 2010s by a third-party quiz app. This data was then used to create detailed profiles in order to provide targeted political advertising and manipulate voter behavior. I've added some links in the video description if you are interested in learning more about that. And then there are the companies, such as data brokers, whose primary business is simply collecting data about you to sell to others. I'll add a link in the video description to an article about data brokers which discusses a recent report by the ACCC into the practice. So what are the various sneaky ways that companies collect this data? Let's start with one of the best-known methods, cookies. So what do cookies do? Cookies are small snippets of data that are stored on your computer or device when you visit a website. Some are temporary and essential for website functionality, while others may store your website preferences and information over the long term. Others, often called third-party cookies, track you across different websites on the internet and collect data about your browsing habits. These tracking cookies allow companies to construct a detailed profile of your online activities. Awareness has increased about the role of cookies in breaching our privacy in recent years, thanks to the cookie law, which is why we now all get those annoying cookie pop-ups for most websites that we visit, so that we can consent or not to cookies. It is definitely worth going through the cookie options for each website that you visit and either selecting reject all cookies or at least reject all marketing third-party or non-essential cookies. A less well-known method of tracking your activity is using tracking pixels or web beacons. Pixels are tiny 1x1 square graphics concealed within a website or email. Like cookies, they allow companies to track you across the internet and collect information about you. Unlike cookies, companies are not required to disclose their use. When you open an email or website containing a tracking pixel, companies can gather information about you, such as your IP address, the device and operating system you are using, and activities that you have performed on their website. This is why it is also best not to even open potential scam or spam emails. As soon as you do, the pixels embedded in the email will alert the spammer that your email address is active and they can send more messages. While there can be legitimate uses for pixels, such as tracking illegal content or measuring visitor numbers to a web page, many are used for tracking you and collecting your data without your knowledge. Another way that you are tracked across the internet is by using the same sign-in for multiple websites and apps. For example, many websites have the option for you to sign in with your Google or Facebook accounts. It all seems harmless and convenient, but when you sign in with one of these accounts, data is then shared about you between these two websites or companies, giving both access to more data about you and more ways to track your activity. As an example, if you have a Gmail account, then you are usually always logged in on your device, especially if you also have an Android device. Everything that you search for on Google, and then the websites that you visit after leaving the search engine, plus places you look for and even your exact location on Google Maps, especially if you have your GPS turned on, and your activity on YouTube, which is also accessed through your Google account, all of this data is available to be added to your profile. Where you are, what you eat, places you visit, where you shop, what you buy, what you watch, where you get your medical care, certainly your online habits, possibly things that your closest family members wouldn't even know. Just as a side note, at least 40% of all internet traffic, and up to 80% by some estimates, is tracked by Google. Data collection and tracking is Google's core business. And yes, I am aware of the irony of posting this video on a Google-owned platform. But I am not suggesting that all companies that use these practices should be boycotted entirely. I'm afraid you would pretty much have to give up using the internet in that case. But it is important that everyone be aware of the data collection and tracking practices of these companies so that you can take back control of your digital life. The Cambridge Analytica scandal is another example of the dangers of using an existing account to log into an app or website. Although Facebook has cracked down on third-party apps now, it is a worthwhile reminder of the potential risks. Another way that you may be tracked online is through browser extensions. For example, if you download free software from the internet, you may find that it comes bundled with a browser extension that is portrayed as providing added benefit to you, but actually serves to track your behavior on the internet and send information about you back to the company. Sometimes browser extensions may also be offered as a standalone product that is meant to be beneficial to you, such as helping you to find discounts online and save money, for example. Instead, these extensions may be thinly veiled spyware. Be cautious about using extensions and make sure that if you do use any, that they come from secure sources and check the permissions associated with the extension. In a similar vein, free apps that you have downloaded onto your device may also be thinly veiled data collection vehicles. Both Apple and Google Play Store now provide information about what information each app collects and how it is linked to you on the app download page. Be wary of any apps that have declined providing this information or that collect large amounts of data about you that they don't need. Check the privacy information of an app carefully before you download it to your phone or tablet. If unsure, do an internet search of the app name and privacy. For example, an internet search for Temu privacy will yield many results about the app's questionable collection and usage of user data. Another sneaky method that is used to track you online is browser fingerprinting, where information about your system or device and browser and details such as screen resolution and time zone are used to create a unique fingerprint of your device that can be tracked. If you are curious how unique your device's fingerprint is and how easy it is for you to be tracked online, visit coveryourtracks.eff.org. I will also add the link in the video description. Last but not least, we will also consider smart devices and digital assistants. For example, AI-based virtual assistants such as Google Assistant, Alexa, and Siri may be collecting and recording more information about you and your household than you might like to think. When connected to smart devices in your home, such as smart thermostats or smart TVs, they have access to even more of your data. But even without a digital assistant, any smart device with a connection to the internet is potentially, and most likely, transmitting data about you to someone, somewhere. As an example, I have attached a link to an NPR interview in the video description, where Jeffrey Fowler, a technology columnist for the Washington Post, describes how he discovered several years ago that Amazon had kept 4 years' worth of recorded audio from his home, captured by his Alexa smart speaker, including family conversations about medications and a friend doing a business transaction. Fowler also talks about how these digital assistants can collect data about any connected smart devices in your home and also send that data back to the company. So, if you have ever noticed advertisements following you around the internet, especially ones that seem to be reading your mind, nope, it's not a coincidence. Big tech is watching. But there are also ways to avoid having your every move tracked and having excessive amounts of data collected about you without your knowledge. As I noted earlier, there is no need to boycott popular websites and services, but it is important that everyone be aware of these data collection and tracking practices so that you can take back control of your digital life. Advertising in itself is also not unethical. Annoying, yes, but folks have to make money somehow. However, surreptitious mass surveillance and the real-time manipulation of everything you see online in order to suit the desires of digital marketers is another beast entirely. In part 2 of this video, I will look at ways that you can secure your privacy and independence online. Thank you for watching. If you found this video useful, please consider liking and/or subscribing. But considering the topic of this video, I'll certainly understand if you choose not to.